happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude.
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 2 feet for wieners.
But listen, Libertius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, welcome into the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Hit me.
2018 NBBQA Podcast of the Year, but I feel like that was in March of 2018, right? Who the hell knows how they were even operating back then? Still to come on the show this evening, Tim Scheer from Shake and Bake Barbecue, Blues Hall, Gateway Drum Smoker, and Marble Ridge. I want to say Mineral Ridge. That's a city in over by Youngstown, Ohio. Marble Ridge. They got Wagyu. They got high-end hog out there. I was sound checking with Tim earlier today, and he was revealing behind the curtain on how they get their heifers pregnant. It's a whole situation going on over there. Oh my God. That's going to be a segment or two all on its own. Jason King asking, Rempy, you in the Barbecue Hall of Fame yet? No? I mean, I've been nominated every year for 6 years, 7 years, so we're over the first hurdle, Jason, as we continually are every year, making it into the names nomination hopper. Every year that I'm nominated, I am then put out an additional 5 years. So if nobody nominated me for 4 years after that, I would still be in that name, that big holding tank of names that people have to talk about, and then I'm quickly voted out. Every year is either being too young, too handsome, too rich, whatever. So we don't want to put them in. But maybe someday, but maybe not. And between you and me, Jason, don't tell anybody. I mean, who cares, right? I mean, I'm happy here in Cleveland. We're doing this show. You're still here. You did. What did you do? What was the dish you did? Booze teen?
I made $970,000.
All right. Booze teen. I mean, if that's not Hall of Fame, that's it. Jason, go to my website, go under Hall of Fame, and look, are you in the guest Hall of Fame? Were you put in 2018? If not, I got to get you on my short list for 2023. Holy shit. How could you not be in the guest Hall of Fame for doing Booze Teen? We're going to have to make that. There's a lot of things that need to be corrected after going through the guest Hall of Fame this year. But the good news is, at least at this point, we have time. I mean, nobody has time. Nobody gets out alive. But we have time. So we'll see what we can do. YouTube poll question of the week. We're asking everybody this. Your choice between the three for Christmas dinner, rib roast, turkey, or ham. 82% of you are saying rib roast. 11% now saying turkey. What? And 7% of you are saying ham. How dare you do turkey again? Learn from me. Learn from me. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 312, if you can believe it, taking you back to December 16th of 2008. 2008. Wait a sec. I've been doing this show even 2 years before 2008, and a guy in the chat room won Podcast of the Year in 2018. What? Yeah. Pissed. Sorry, Jimmy, you're taking it. Taking you back to December 16th, 2008. Long time ago. I think we can agree on that. Does this name ring a bell? Dave Lefkoe, one of the founding partners of a product called what? Oh, wait. You tell me. Did you say bacon salt? Yes. He was my guest, and we talked all about the origins of bacon salt and the product. Little known fact that the company got its start from Dave's kid hitting him in the face with a wiffle ball that was set on a tee. And he sent it in to America's Funniest Home Videos. And while I just resaw the video again hours ago, not that funny. Funny enough to take the win that year, $5,000 in winnings. So him and his corporate partner took that money and started the Bacon Salt Empire. Believe it or not, still around. You can go to baconsalt.com, lots of flavors, way more than they had originally when I had them on in 2008. So if you haven't tried it, give it a shot. Why not? And originally made to help those folks who aren't allowed to eat bacon to get the flavor of bacon in a legal way, 100% kosher. You can subscribe to the show and its podcast feed by visiting this website, thebbqcentralshow.com/subscribe. Don't forget, if you want to hear a guest or a segment again that's been lost in the archives, you email John and let him know what you would like to hear, JON at thebbqcentralshow.com. To finish out this segment before we get to Tim Scheer's origin story, Malcolm Reed, who was on the show last week, did his weekly podcast a couple days after his appearance on Tuesday. I think it was last Thursday, and then he releases it on Friday, I believe. Well, when you know, his appearance made an appearance on his appearance on my show was talked about on his podcast this past Friday. And I'm not going to say he did an about face on some things. He still towed the line a little bit. I was way more intrigued with Rochelle's answering on some of this stuff, which I happened to cut up. So, Malcolm asks Rochelle question of the week from last week.
Last night, you went on Greg Grampy and talked about Memphis and May.
Yes, I did. Here's a question for you. This was Greg's poll question.
Okay.
Which
I
is
saw that.
the bigger, did he say bigger?
It's the bigger story.
Bigger story.
Ongoing story within the barbecue.
Memphis and May debacle, the Memphis and May affair, or the KCBS judging scoring scandal thing. Which one's the bigger story to you?
I feel like the KCBS thing really showcases some holes in that system, and getting scored wrong is a big, big deal. So
yeah, you're going to go with that?
I'm going to have to go with that one.
Now, in the next clip, this might be my favorite one. Rochelle, gives it to Malcolm a little bit.
I just thought you played a politician a little too much talking about the May instead of just saying.
I was on the fence.
Hammer coming.
A little bit.
The hammer
I'll tell you
coming.
what I think. Memphis and May treats the teams pretty crappy. We've cooked a lot of contests. We've cooked the Royal, we've cooked small contests, we've cooked big contests. Memphis and May treats the teams the absolute worst, to the point where it's like, hey, what are y'all going to do about people breaking in and stealing stuff? Oh, that's y'all problem.
There was a Gestapo-like feeling here in the fast few years.
Yes. Yes.
All right. So Malcolm leaves that bit out of Tuesday night. However, Rochelle not holding back, saying they feel like second-class citizens a little bit. Here's the next cut, saying that Memphis and May's decisions are made all on the money.
With every decision they made was more about money than anything. The teams were never taken into consideration. The logistics of the contest is horrible. The cost is astronomical.
It's great. I was thinking that on the way to work today. How much money So we've been doing Memphis in May since 06.
Mm-hmm. We did it in
and
06.
This will probably make you and I both very sick if we were to tally this up. How much money we spent on that one contest for the past, what's that been, 17 years?
I know how much we spent that very first year because I raised the money to get us in there. Yeah. It was like $3,000. I think is what we spent. We raised $2,500 and we had $500 to put.
And it only escalated from there.
You're going to have to add another zero to talk about what we've been spending the past couple of years, which is ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong. Something has to change with it.
Mm-hmm.
Adding another zero to $3,500. I'm no mathematician. That's $35,000. What? They're spending $35,000 to compete in Memphis in May? I mean, do you win $1 million? I mean, I got to win $1 million for me to even consider $35,000. I can go buy a Rolex watch for $35,000, keep it for 10 years, and then make money on the sale. $35,000. And I feel like that's the low end. $45,000, $50,000 you're hearing being tossed around. Nonsense. That's a lot of money, right? Last cut. Rochelle asking Malcolm if he would cook the new event.
Would you cook the new contest?
I'm curious. I'm not saying I wouldn't cook it because, never know. But I want to see what the format's like. I want to see who's judging it. I want to see what it costs. I want to see what you're cooking. I want to see what the prize payout is.
Yeah.
Is it worth your while to cook that contest? Is it for a charity?
I just know I don't have me personally, I don't have any loyalty to the Memphis in May contest.
You're disgruntled.
Very.
Disgruntled. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with being disgruntled.
I thought Kerry Bringle's interview he did with Rimpey was really good.
It was really good.
And I agreed with everything he said. So
Greg's got to get some really good discussion on it.
Yeah, I know. Greg likes stirring the controversy.
He's got to dig to the root of it. So,
and you like to walk the line.
Got a Johnny Cash.
Yeah. I want to be mayor one day. You never know. I can't say too much, man.
Malcolm could be mayor someday of Hernando, the city of Hernando. I can see that happening. Rochelle calling him out, saying he could have laid into Memphis in May a little bit more when him and Heath were on last Tuesday. My next guest, who we'll be learning all about here over the next hour or so, won Memphis in May 2 years ago. Might have a thought or two before we race into the origin story of his self. Before we get to that, let's talk about Big Papa Smokers. Listen up, gang. Our friends at Big Papa Smokers have something special just for you, listeners of this show, whether you're a seasoned pitmaster or a grilling newbie. Big Papa Smokers, your one-stop shop for all things barbecue. From their championship rubs, mouth-watering sauces, essential accessories, they've got what you need to take your food to the next level, whether on the competition circuit or in the backyard, like me. Here's the cherry on top, the Luxardo cherry at that. Big Papa Smokers offering listeners of the Barbecue Central Show an exclusive deal. Use promo code REMPE, R-E-M as in Mike, P as in Papa, E. At checkout, that's R-E-M-P-E, and you'll get $10 off your next $50 purchase of rubs, sauces, or accessories. Imagine the possibilities, if you will. Evaluate your ribs with Big Papa's Sweet Money or Hot Sweet Money, which I love. Add Big Papa's Desert Gold to your chicken or vegetables. Why not? Better yet, pick up Big Papa's Double Secret. Try it on steak. Thank me later. Don't forget, use promo code REMPE at checkout and claim your $10 off your next order of $50 or more when you go to BigPapaSmokers.com. Also, don't forget to check out a full line of recipes and the associated cooking videos when you go to cookingwithbigpapa.com. Follow them on social media. Most importantly, when you go to BigPapaSmokers.com, promo code REMPE, $10 off your order of $50 or more. Why not? We're back with Tim Scheer right after this. Stick around. I'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. the Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes, a host of accessories. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or if you're a pro. It's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Looky here. Probably because she's got nothing better to do. Maddie Rempe watching the show tonight. Look at you, Maddie. Tuning in for the Tim Scheer origin story, who is leading off the second hour here. Consistently a top pitmaster on the KCBS circuit, owner, creator of Gateway Drum Smoker, owner of the iconic Blues Hog brand of products, a purveyor of fine meat through his Marble Ridge Farms business. And this past October, one of 5 guests to be included in the new Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. We welcome back our pal, Tim Scheer. Hey, Tim. We have a YouTube poll question of the week we're asking everybody this evening. Your choice between the 3 for a Christmas dinner. A rib roast, a turkey, or a ham. Which one you pick?
Well, I think that's easy, rib roast, but this turkey business is nonsense.
83% of people saying rib roast, 10% of people saying turkey, and 7% saying ham.
Greg, that's not acceptable. There's no way turkey's above ham.
I thought
nothing against turkey.
I thought that was the thing, like Christmas ham. Now, I believe when I was a youth, we doubled up. We did turkey Thanksgiving, turkey Christmas for a while at least. At some point, we graduated into the rib roast, but Christmas ham, that's like a thing.
So these people obviously need to get on the website at marbleridgefarms.com and order themselves a ham. My good buddy, the world famous Jay LaBello over there is cranking out some pretty badass hams for us. And they will change your mind on that turkey business.
Enough of turkey, enough of ham, enough of rib roast. We have one other question. As somebody who's won Memphis in May, I called it the coup of 2022, and everybody agreed with me, by the way. Do you have any thought on what the hell is going on in Memphis leading into 2024?
No, I think I'm probably about like everybody is. I'm actually signed up for Memphis in May. Couldn't be happier that it's moving out of the swamp and over to a actual sustainable place over there at the Liberty Bowl. The judging's way better over there anyway. I can tell you that right now.
Why is it better? Because that's where you won?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So no, we're excited to go back. And hopefully whatever else happens downtown is great and good and everything else. Obviously I have nothing against anybody promoting barbecue. So, hopefully that takes off and there's more than one option. That's fine with me too.
Isn't it weird to have them competing though? When you want to have them maybe in successive weeks or one per month or something like that?
Yeah. Yeah, I would. I think they should just knock them out consecutive weeks. We'll go down to Memphis, spend a week, and call it good.
Tim Scheer is joining us, no doubt. Tim Scheer is joining us, and you can look at all of his different products through his different online landscapes, Gateway Drum Smokers, Blues Hog. He also has Marble Ridge, and, of course, Shake and Bake Barbecue. You still doing the Barbecue League or the League or whatever the hell that thing is called?
Yeah, we are actually.
Look at you.
Yeah,
man, you're very busy guy. Let's learn about
busy
Tim Scheer. 2023 finds you getting into the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame. I mean, were you shocked? Were you honored? Has life changed in magical ways since October?
I told you, man. I was shocked when you sent me that message. I thought it was like basically winning a Grammy. I didn't know what to do. I was excited. Beside myself, to be honest with you. And when that ring showed up, I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
That was legit, man. That's some serious bling right there. So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yep.
All I had to do is come on your show and cry like a big baby, I think. So easy.
Well, the good news is you had done previous segments as well. So you qualify for being into the Guest Hall of Fame, or at least being nominated, by showing up on the show and doing one guest spot. So anybody that's ever done the show even once has potential of getting into the Guest Hall of Fame. But of course, you go above and beyond. Let's get some origin story on Tim Scheer. When were you born? Where were you born?
I was born right here in Washington, Missouri, back in 1981.
Wow. You're just a pup.
I know. I'm a pup, I guess.
42
like
then, right? 41, 42?
I'm 41, yeah. Or 40, what am I, 42? I have no idea what I am. Something like that.
Handsome, though.
I'm still kicking.
Yeah. So as you're growing up, what do you remember family life being like as you're kind of a rugrat?
Yeah, man. I grew up on a hog farm, and family life was always, if you had free time, something was wrong. I was always out, working at the farm and, just doing whatever I could between that and trying to play sports and stuff when I was younger. That was pretty much probably what my life consumed of, hay, rake, hay, bale, hay, repeat, so, it's fine. Learned a lot, learned how to work hard. I think that helped a lot, still does today, but yeah, that's what it was, man. I mean, goofed off a little bit, did the kid stuff and, but spent a lot of time in those hog barns or, out in the field or wherever. So, that's pretty much what it was like. All my buddies were out at the swimming pool or goofing off somewhere doing nothing. And I was slopping hogs.
I don't know what farm means other than typically that is associated with lots of acres. Like we lived around a lot of farms where I grew up, especially before it really developed. And then it became, a lot more hoity-toity, whatever. But well after us. Are you, so you have the hog farm, but then do you also have like hundreds and hundreds of acres where you're making hay and nonsense like this?
Yeah. So my dad had the hog farm. He actually grew up and his dad was a chicken farmer. So he hated chickens. So he started hog farming and then I naturally started to hate hogs. I've told him a million times that I finally figured out a way to make them smell good. And that was on the barbecue pits. So, but my mom actually grew up in the Missouri River bottoms down here. So, basically in the middle of flat farmland. So yeah, still does today. My dad has 4,000 sows. So it's a pretty big hog operation, farms over 2,000 acres of corn and beans. And then several hundred acres of hay and pasture and run a couple hundred head of cattle as well. So.
You got siblings?
I have one sister. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought when you had a farm, like you have kids to be the hired help around there to get the farming done.
I know. And my dad was an only child, so he's pretty much a one-man band out there at the farm. He's 73, works like he's 20, still goes crazy every day with it. I don't think he's ever made any money, but that doesn't really matter to him. I guess he just does it because that's what he does. That's what a lot of farmers do.
You have a good relationship with your sister?
Okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't live close by, so
no. Like when you're growing up, like are you guys close? Close in age?
We're both pretty stubborn and hard-headed, so we like to butt heads a little bit.
When you guys were growing up, were you like pretty close in age?
She's a couple years older than me.
Yeah.
No, she got off easy, man. I always had to do all the work, and she just hung around the house.
Your parents stay together as you're growing up?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Mom's a school teacher. Dad farms.
As you're growing up, like before high school and stuff, you have pretty good relationship with them? Your parents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty good.
What's the food scene like at the house as you're growing up?
Oh, big food scene, man. That's kind of one of the main things that got me into cooking. My grandma was a great cook. Both of them were, and my mom's a hell of a cook too. I mean, I get a lot of my cooking skills, I guess, or whatever you want to call them, habits maybe from her. I don't think she's ever followed a recipe. Never looked in a book. Just crank it out, stick your finger in it, taste it. If it's good, you keep going. If not, you fix it. So, and that's the other thing growing up on the hog farm. I mean, we had pork, so I cooked, from early age. But I was one that was, if I was home, I was home before my dad was or whatever. And, I would fire up the grill and cook every pork item you could cook, pork chops, pork steaks, pork burgers, the whole deal, never ending. So yeah, I mean, that was, we ate well, and, a lot of that was my mom cooking and learning from her mom.
Do you recall having an active interest in like being around the kitchen and helping mom cook, or you just like the way she cooked because it tasted good?
No, I did actually. I cooked. I liked to cook when I was younger. Especially with the barbecue. And I remember we had an old smoker in the garage that was sitting in the corner collecting dust, and I dug that thing out once or twice and tried to figure it out and fired up on my own. We had up here we had pork steaks all the time, so I would take a pork steak and mess around with seasonings and tenderizers and all that stuff and try to figure it out as I went. So the family was always happy it was done and they could eat, but I was already trying to figure out the barbecue world, I guess. I didn't even know it.
Yeah, so I was going to say, were you exposed to, aside from the grilling that you had already mentioned, were you exposed to any real low and slow Southern style barbecue methods? Was your dad into that?
See, not as much. So like I said, with the pork steaks, we always cut all of our pork butts into pork steaks. I mean, that's how every fundraiser or barbecue you would go to in this area, in St. Louis area. That's what everybody did with it. We didn't have like low and slow whole shoulders or anything like that. So it was kind of weird that we didn't, being on a hog farm, we didn't do much, as far as ribs or anything like that either. It was pork chops, pork burgers, or pork steaks, to be honest with you. So, we had a Weber grill and tried to figure out that and tried to kind of slow it down and cook the pork steaks a little bit longer, a little bit lower and slower than what you normally would. But, had that old smoker that it was kind of like a Smoky Mountain type thing, a small one, I think, and tried to figure that out when I was younger. But, it wasn't until, going off to college and stuff like that where I started having pulled pork and some of the more Southern styles of barbecue. And I was definitely interested. Caught my attention.
Get into high school. What kind of a student are you as you go through those 4 years?
I wasn't a great student. I mean, it's kind of funny. I didn't put a whole lot of effort into school, to be honest with you. I did enough to get by, and just wasn't really all that interested, to be honest with you.
Eddie said last week that he was a terrible student, but he loved to go every day because there was so much social activity that he was involved with. Similar to you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say terrible, but I was definitely not an honor roll kid. So I did enough to get by, and I enjoyed playing sports and things like that in high school. So, I had to stay eligible and all that. Yep. But it wasn't bad. You know what I mean? I was probably a B and C type student, that was more concerned about just getting it over with and, getting a straight A.
You had mentioned sports, and for those that know you, you're widely considered to be, maybe self-proclaimed, tallest man in barbecue. How tall do you stand currently?
6'7" currently. Yeah.
All right. Were you taller in high school, or are you still about the same?
No, I was about 6'5", 6'6" in high school. Okay. Grew a little bit afterwards. But yeah.
You play basketball then, I assume, or were you multi-sport?
Yeah, I played basketball in high school. We had a really good team in high school. Won 2 state championships back then. Wow. Kind of a fun fact. Hate to pat my own back, but I did score 45 points in a championship game when I was a sophomore. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Ended up winning that and got third our junior year and won again the state championship in 99 in my senior season. So it was fun. We got lifelong friends and memories from that, and it was a heck of a good time back then.
When you win 2 state titles in a 4-year span, does that earn you looks to college, or like were you at a smaller school where it didn't really matter?
Yeah. I was definitely at a small school, small high school. I think we were 1A, which is basically the smallest school in the state. But yeah, Did get a full ride scholarship to Southeast Missouri State. Played 4 years of basketball down there. Got my school paid for or whatever.
Yep.
So, again, didn't focus too terribly detailed on the schoolwork, but got it done.
Is Southeast Missouri State a Division II school or Division I?
It's a Division I actually.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we made it to the NCAA tournament first time in school history my freshman year.
What's that like? I mean, there's some statistic out there that 7% of all high school athletes make it to that next level, regardless of division. 1, 2, or 3. My daughter just got done playing Division II college volleyball, but I mean that's a pretty tight bottleneck to go from all those athletes playing in high school to college. I mean, what's that accomplishment like for you?
Yeah, it's crazy. And, when you're that age, I don't think you realize, how lucky you are to get to play a sport or be involved in something like that. You're just doing it, and half the time you're dreading doing it. And, when you get to college, especially, it's a full-time job. I mean, they give you 20 hours a week, but you're doing it for 40 or more, 50, probably more hours a week. You're doing something related to that sport. So, the education is certainly not free, but you work your butt off for it. But the life lessons you learn through sports, in my opinion, is greater than anything you can learn in that classroom. I mean, I've got 3 daughters all playing basketball right now, and a freshman and a sophomore in high school, and I'm constantly trying to show them and get them to appreciate the lessons that they're learning in sports, not just scoring or winning. It's about the teamwork and about the adversity and all the other stuff you're going to go through that you just cannot learn, as quickly. I guess you can learn it, but I think sports just give you a dose of real world reality right off the bat. And you got to be mentally tough for it, especially this day and age where, every game is broadcast and everything else like that. So, it's, I think it's a major opportunity, the kids and everything, good lesson from.
What are you majoring in during college? What do you graduate with?
I was majoring in ag business and, horticulture basically. So, my goal was to have the landscaping company, and that's what I did for, nearly 20 years, I guess. As I started the barbecue endeavor and everything else, I was, still at a landscape company up until about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, we finally sold the landscape company. And, it was, I really enjoyed the design and the building the project and stuff like that. But to the end, it was getting to be a major pain in the butt as far as employees and even the homeowners and stuff like that were just starting to get somewhat entitled feeling, and it just wasn't as fun as it used to be. That's for sure. And I was getting old. Is hard work.
Yeah. Well, I mean, getting older and then not being able to find reliable help or people that meet your standard of work is always, going to be tough, especially when you don't seem to see an end to it, or it's only going to get worse the longer you go. So probably makes the sale a lot easier.
Yeah, it was time, and barbecue luckily and fortunately came along, and 2012 we started making the drum smokers for Gateway Drum Smokers, and that was something that I had no intentions of getting into really. It was just okay. We built them for ourselves. Other people are liking them. Now what do? We either say no or we turn it into a real business. You know what I mean? And I was fine taking it on, and trying that out. And then 2015 rolls around, and our good friend Billy Arnold was sick and everything, and when he asked me to buy the Blues Hog Company, and I just didn't even think or ask how much or anything. I just told him, of course, yes, I want to do that. You know what I mean? And that's one of the coolest things I think I've ever been a part, had the opportunity to be a part of, honestly. And, I knew the potential of it. I knew how good the product was. And I knew that it just needed a driving force behind it to take it to another level. So
I want to circle back on that here in a second, and talk about the entrance into barbecue. Before we do that, can we be regaled with a love story of Tim Scheer, how you meet your wife, and all that fun stuff?
Yes, our story goes back a long time. So the funniest thing is that I don't know what we were, probably like 3 or 4. You know what I mean? We were the
years old.
I don't know, the two little kids that walked down at the homecoming dance or whatever at the high school was Terry and I. So I joke about it. I guess I caught her eye, very early. But I think we might have. I don't know what you're doing when you're in 5th or 6th grade. We might have dated or whatever, went to the movies once or something. And then, high school, I think our sophomore year is kind of when we started getting a little more serious. We were good friends, honestly, in high school, and, been together ever since, basically. So, she's a trooper. I can tell you that.
When you hear of folks, I mean, it's not very common that you've had that longevity, literally going back to where you could sit here and say, yeah, I've known her since I'm 4 or 5. Every once in a while you hear the high school sweetheart thing, and a lot of those fail because you get stale. I mean, who the hell knows why it goes? Why do you think this is a long time, Tim? Why do you think you guys have been able to stay together? And at least from an outsider's view looking in, I mean, I don't know what is really going on behind closed doors, but you seem to thrive both as a couple and as business partners.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure she thinks I'm stale. There's no doubt about that, Greg. But no, we just always been it together. I mean, she's a great person, and she's allowed me to do basically everything I've wanted to do in the business world, and she's been right there to help and support, and even more so take care of the kids and run them around and do all the stuff that first class mom does. I mean, she kills it. You know what I mean? I don't know how she does it sometimes, but it's cool. You know what I mean? I just think we keep rolling. Do
you guys talk about having kids?
Her parents are great. My parents support. I mean, the whole deal. So,
do you guys talk about having kids pretty quick after getting married, or does that just kind of happen?
Yeah, I think. I mean, after we got married, it was a couple of years, but. And then we had the 2 back to back and everything, and she was good at having kids and liked it and stuff. And I was a little nervous because her dad is actually one of 14 siblings. So I was like, "Holy cow! You're not thinking about this, are you?"
Yeah.
So
fertile myrtle.
Then we had our 3rd girl, and I was like, "We're shutting it down." So I think she would have went for another one to try to get a boy, but I didn't think that was the right idea at the time. So.
How old are the girls?
They're 15, 14, and 11 now. So, yeah, got 2 in high school.
When you look at how you're growing up, and you look at how you're raising your daughters, were there anything that you thought, when I have kids, I want to do it this way, or I want to instill these things? How does you differing how you're parenting your girls versus how you were parented?
I mean, there's things that you learn, I guess, good and bad from your parents, right? I'm by no means perfect at it, and it's the hardest thing you do in life, I think, is try to raise them and try to get them to turn out right and stuff like that. I mean, they're good kids for sure. I mean, we have fun together. I think we have a good relationship. We butt heads sometimes, but for the most part, we can roll with it and don't hold it against each other. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's a challenge every day. There's things I wish I would do better, and there's things that we do all right, but it's hard to say exactly, what I'm doing right or wrong, I guess. So just try to show them that hard work and stay positive and be good to people. I mean, that's the main thing.
Where did you learn about competition barbecue?
So basically, when I first started cooking competition barbecue, I had no clue. I mean, we started at a local winery. I think we got 4th place out of 5 teams. I don't know, something really bad. But God dang, we had the most fun ever. I mean, pretty sure we burnt our trailer down on the way home. I mean, just whatever could have happened, it probably happened that day. And we had some of our best friends out there, and just we were doing it, man. We were doing it. As we went on, we did one or two competitions locally, and same deal. Just we're there to have fun and to kind of party. And if we turned something in, that was great. You know what I mean? But after a couple of years of that and getting destroyed, I started to, my competitive nature started kicking in. And I'm like, all right, if we're going to do these competitions, I got to have a chance. At least got to have a chance to win something. It's like, so I started studying up, and back then there was maybe the what is it called? The Barbecue Brethren was one thing you could maybe pick up a few tips on, but there was so much just BS on there that it was hard to really find anything. But, honestly, talking to local pit masters and, a buddy of mine from back then, Jeff Brinker was cooking barbecue fairly well and doing all right, and he would slip some tips every once in a while, and I just started paying attention, you know what I mean? And after that, it was just doing research and buying sauces and rubs and experimenting at the house with not only that, but cooking techniques. I mean, had an offset, Oklahoma Joe smoker, whatever they are. That was just, I was brutal at it. I was not doing anything right, probably. So, we did the first competition, bought a bigger stick burner, and stayed up all night and woke everybody up and made a mess. And right after that, speaking of Eddy, I bought a FEC 100, and that's when started to set the button and get consistent temps and times, and started to at least have a chance. You know what I mean? I would go to a contest and at least have a chance to get a call. And then after that, we evolved into the drum smoker.
How do you evolve into that? Really if you're running something that is allowing you to be consistent, like why do you switch into something else and then live fire at that?
It's a couple of reasons. For me, I'm a kind of guy that doesn't really sit still. I'm nervous energy all the time and got to be fiddling with something. And when I was, running the pellet smoker, I literally would hit a button at 10 o'clock at night and go to bed. And I was like, I just wasn't feeling like I was doing anything, I wasn't challenged. I didn't even get to light my own fire. So, I was struggling in the rib category, I think it was. And, started cooking the ribs on the Gateway drum smoker, the first one. And, that's the year that we won. 2012 is the year that we won first place ribs at the American Royal. So that's when it really started hitting, you know what I mean? And then after ribs, we just started adding another meat. And, sooner or later, I remember the first time I was going to go all drums at a contest, and everybody, nobody was doing it really back then. And I was nervous as hell. I got up at 3 a.m. and put my meat on, wanted to give myself plenty of time just in case it didn't work, in case it didn't go hot and fast like I wanted it to. Had everything off and done by 7 a.m. So I'm sitting there, did my 4-hour cook just 5 hours too early. Yep. So, so many learning curves. And even till this day, we still tweak and tune on those things and try to dial them in and, hit different techniques and flavors and stuff like that. I mean, barbecue can be very humbling, Greg. I mean, I cooked speaking of prime rib, we cooked one today for a video, and, I was like, I'm going to try this technique or whatever, slow it down, see what I can do. And just not happy with it at all when it turns out. And I'm just like, wow, that was a complete failure. I mean, it was a complete failure, but it was just not what I was hoping for. So, I mean, it never ends. You know what I mean? You're constantly chasing something that, you can change, or, I mean, it just takes a ton of practice, honestly. I mean, people want to shortcut or do this or that or whatever. It just takes a ton of practice and repetition. And, just like anything in life, you gotta be ahead of your mistakes, I guess, and know how to fix them.
As the Gateway drum smoker business is growing, you still have the landscape businesses you talked about, and you're also doing competitive barbecue, and you're also being a family guy at the same time. How are you able to manage trying to grow a cooker business, which seems to be taking off? I remember hearing about it for the very first time, like 12 years ago, whatever it was. So how are you, was it manageable, the order intake, or were you immediately behind because once people see you winning, now everybody wants to do what everybody, what's winning, everybody else wants to do that?
On the smoker business, we kind of kind of took it as it came, I guess, a little bit more than just sticking your neck out or anything like that. So, there was some times where we had some lead times and things like that, but for the most part, it wasn't totally overwhelming. So we were able just to kind of manage it and just do it as it came. I mean, it wasn't something that I was making a ton of money on by any means. So I wasn't, it was kind of always kind of the second, I call it the stepchild of my company sometimes because, we don't put enough energy into it probably that it could take, but it's a tough business too. I mean, we're competing against, imported equipment that's just so much less expensive and shipping just went through the roof and, they're hard to ship. It's a big old drum smoker full of air. You know what I mean? It's bulky and things like that. So, there's some things about it that, probably limit the profitability on it. So, it's one of those things where I love it. It works so good. It's hard to beat on as far as cooking barbecue. I mean, it's just so easy and efficient and fast and everything flavorful. I mean, whole deal, you know what I mean? But, it never really let it kind of get overwhelming for us.
When we talk about the Blues Hog portion of this business, so you have the competition team, now you have the cooker business, and then Bill Arnold approaches you about buying Blues Hog. Did he ever tell you, say, hey, this is the reason I'm coming to Tim Scheer to take, this is an iconic, for anybody that's in competition barbecue or is even around it in an ancillary way, this is an iconic brand name. It's even become more household than I ever thought it would. I knew, we would always appreciate its value and its wonderful product in itself. Why Tim?
I was wondering the same damn thing, Greg.
Really?
I had no idea. I mean, Bill was so cool as far as, talking to him and stuff, but it was hard to have a serious conversation with that guy because he was just so funny and off the wall. And, I mean, we'd be serious for like 1 second and then it's back to, some crazy joke he wanted to tell or a story or something like that. So, I probably didn't get all the information, I mean, I know he was fond of what we were doing with the drum smoker and kind of how we'd built barbecue and loved that we had the kids and stuff at the competition, just like he did, back in the day and stuff. So, it was funny because, I think it was Gracie up at his daughter Gracie up at the, American Royal. He's like, I just don't understand how you and my dad were so close and like, how you guys got along so well because you guys are totally different. I was like, Gracie, we're honestly not that much different. Like, we are, but like we had so many similarities too at the same time. Like we loved having fun with each other and just enjoying the competitions and the people. And I remember back in the day before I even talked to him about business, I mean, I stood up at the contest, just listened to him tell bullshit stories the half the night or whatever. And I was just like, I was grinning from ear to ear the whole time and I just couldn't even believe it. You know what I mean? And he was so funny like that. But we both like to have fun at the contest and goof off and, but we also wanted to get our work done. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, we say it all the time, like rule number one in business for us, our whole crew is that we hang out with or whatever. And even we work with at work. I mean, it's certainly not a super professional environment sometimes, but the back of the mind rule is always just get your work done, like get it done. And so we can do something else, you know what I mean? Like nobody loves having a job, so we might as well make it as fun as possible. Get our work done and then let's go do something more fun. So, I mean, that's kind of how we operate.
How do you look to preserve what Bill built, but also then put your own stamp on it? I mean, this is your business now, so certainly you want to pay homage to how it was brought to you, but then you want to grow it and, make sure everybody has the ability to experience this iconic brand.
Yeah. I mean, that was daunting, as far as the task. I'll never forget, like when we first did it and we had to move co-packers right off the bat. And I'm just like, holy cow, I'm going to screw this whole thing up in the first 2 weeks. You know what I mean? And we took some hits or whatever, but I knew we could get it. You know what I mean? I just knew we could. And, Billy said straight up to me, he goes, Tim, I want Blues Hog to be a household name. I want it to be in every household in America. And I'm like, all right, Bill, I'll do whatever I can to make that happen. You know what I mean? And, he was such a big personality and stuff. if he was in better health, I think he would have been one of the biggest stars in barbecue, honestly. You know what I mean? It just had that kind of personality. So by no means did I ever want to step in and think I was trying to take that, because that's not at all who I am or what I wanted to do. So perfectly fine letting the brand do the talking for it, and letting what he did in his story just it was enough. It didn't need any extra. You know what I mean? The product was good enough to do it itself, and that's kind of how I wanted it to be. And it's been working out just fine. Like, totally happy with it. And the honoring him up the American Royal this year, I thought was the coolest thing we could have done. I thought everything we did for him was, just couldn't have went off any better. It was a blast, man. It was good.
Is there any portion of you that's pissed it didn't happen last year instead of this year?
I was frustrated. We were nominating him and stuff like that. And you always hope that it's not his last year, you know what I mean? And we had him up at the Royal, every time we could, as far as, getting him there and getting him moved around and stuff. And he loved that, you know what I mean? So, I don't know. There's people, nothing against them, that went in, and I'm like, we're on a time clock here, people, you know what I mean? It's like, we need to make this happen. So, it was frustrating for sure. But we made the most out of it. Like I said, his whole family was up there. Haven't seen those guys together, honestly, ever, you know what I mean? And we had a lot of fun too. It was good.
Marble Ridge is the last business that I know of that's currently out there providing, the high-end stuff, not consumers grade. How do you get into obviously you have the background in it, but why Wagyu beef and the high-end hog?
Well, I joked around with my dad like probably 10 years ago to raise a Wagyu, and I wish that we did back then, because we would have been miles ahead, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was attainable. I was in no position to take on any more jobs by any means. So, I don't know how or why it happens when it happens. The timing's never right for anything, right? So, same with, the Gateway Drum Smokers. I didn't need another job. You know what I mean? I had one. Blues Hog comes along. Holy cow, I have no experience in food business whatsoever. Like, how are we going to make this work? And it just happens, and you make it work, right? Because it's an opportunity. You jump on it, and you make the most out of it. So, sold the landscaping business. A piece of property came up for sale. That was connected to, my family farm, right? That I grew up on, and piece of property that I liked and had my eye on for a long time. Was the timing perfect or right? Heck no. How are we going to make this happen? I really wanted to do that. So we ended up buying that property, and, I'm okay, well, what are we going to do with that farm? We've got 80 acres now. What do we do with it? So I'm like, well, I put a couple cows out there. Right. So, so I bought like 15 Wagyu, mama cows, full blood Wagyu mama cows. I'm like, this is cool. I get to come out here, hang out with the cows. It's super easy. It's, it's not a lot of labor. It's perfect, just let it be. And then, old Tim kicks in and doesn't allow himself to have a enjoyable hobby ever. So we got to turn that into a full blown job. So, just kept adding more and building it up, and then, just getting the itch, you know what I mean, to start something new.
Do you have
Marble Ridge Farm?
Do you have access to, like, as you said, these mama Wagyu cows? Like, are they on the street corners or what?
No, we drove halfway across the country. I think we drove to Texas to buy some, just all over, wherever you could find them. There's not that many of them out there, honestly. So, I would find 3 or 4 here and then a couple here, and we'd, I'd send Brother Dickie out on a road trip, and he'd come back with them, at 2 a.m. or something. He would have them. So, pretty crazy, honestly. And just wanted to build something else, out there, and kind of have something that was our own. But had not too many intentions of even taking it to this far, this soon by any means. So, it's something that I enjoy doing. I remember talking with my daughter on the way back from basketball practice, like, what are we going to call this farm? Here's a couple things I'm thinking of name wise. And we're just chit chatting about, what to name it and everything. And just, just, she's into horses and things like that. So just a place for her to go. And we keep the show pigs out there for them, all three of them. So really, I mean, it's just, that was kind of that part of it. But then as I got into it, it's like, wait a second, like who has a farming background with facilities here, accessible, that's in the barbecue that could raise their own product, basically literally from genetics to feeding out to, where it's packed at, how it's cut. And then we get into the barbecue world.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff can happen before that, just to hone in your product. So, I started studying genetics, not only in the Wagyu world, but in the hog world, and I'm, doing research and, ordering some things and just checking it out, talking to whoever I can talk to that might know something about it. So we started doing the Mangalitsa and the Duroc sired pork. Had a chance to buy the last 24 Chester White female hogs from Bob Ivy. I don't know if you ever heard of Silky Pork out in North Carolina. He had a big brand that was most being exported, to China and everything. So, but just a high quality pork, marbles like a Duroc. So basically what we've come to right now is the Mangalitsa Duroc sired onto the Chester White. So we get kind of the best of all three worlds there, with the low melting point Wagyu style fat from that Mangalitsa, the marbling from the Duroc, and the growth from the Chester White, and marbling from there as well. So with those three combined, we finally got that blend produced and harvested. And I mean, the tenderloin, or the rib loin and stuff like that we cut and took pictures of and stuff, it was just out of this world. I was so happy with it. So it's crazy. And then, when you throw that on top of, your story at Memphis in May, I mean, how does that even happen? We raise our own hog, we build a mega drum, never even used it hardly before, take it down to Memphis and tell this story that sounds ridiculously made up, but it's all 100% true. I mean, that's just kind of the icing on the cake for it. And it gives us a lot of pride that we literally took something from start to finish, like beyond start to finish, and used all of our products and that we created and developed and sell and everything else to win the ultimate pork prize. I mean, that was insane.
It's like you're, as they say in the cigar world, you're a vertically integrated company. So you're starting, from right at the beginning all the way to the very end, and it's all under, your housing. So totally insane.
It really is, man. Yeah. Not a big fan of some of those cliche kind of words, but It's legit right here, man. I mean, it is literally start to finish, and it's cool. I like it. I enjoy it. Farming, like, as much as I had to do it when I was younger, I wanted to get away from it. I did. I did my own thing. I had nothing really to do with it for probably 20 years. You know what I mean? And then something, I don't know, you want to go. It's like all that stuff I did back then, I started to appreciate, I think, and like, holy shit, I used to get to do this all the time and I hated it, and it's like, but it's a lot of fun now out there and kind of be in your own world.
When you look at that Memphis in May win, you're with Brad Leininger. You guys are competing under Blues Hog. Brad, obviously, I don't know. I mean, we could talk about, is he the best that's ever done it? Is he the best in the last 15 years? I mean, he's won Team of the Year. Is it 2 or 3 out of the last 5 or 6 years, whatever it is? Are you guys friends? Are you guys best buddies? Are you guys frenemies? Like, what's the straight dope with you guys?
We're everything, man. Like, so Brad was one of the first guys we met, early on. One of the first 10 people probably to buy a drum smoker from me. You know what I mean? And he was just getting started in barbecue, and I was kind of been doing it for a couple of years, but enjoyed hanging out with him and his brother-in-law Michael and his family and stuff. I got to be really good friends with them. I mean, we traveled and did everything, and it's kind of always been, certain things we all just did together. Like, let's go do Memphis. Let's go do a class. We've been to Australia. We've been to, Europe, doing stuff and everything. And, it's just fun to have somebody there. And, especially now, like bouncing secrets or ideas or whatever back and forth. And we probably did that a million times as we went and still do today. Like I haven't been able to cook as much over the past year or so. And, I call him up and be like, all right, give me the scoop here lately. And, it's usually about the same, but it's not bad to have a refresher. You know what I mean? So we've got a class coming up this weekend, actually, that he and I will do together. So, we're good friends. We love to razz each other. I love to beat him. He loves to beat me. It's the best. You know what I mean? We talk trash. We just never really get our feelings hurt. We just keep rolling. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny, but no, as far as him and what he's done over the past couple of years, I don't know how he keeps going and doing that much. But he's crushing it. You know what I mean? Like he's a force, in the barbecue world. And I don't know what the numbers are, the stats compared to everybody else, but I would imagine he's got to be right there, as far as, the numbers of wins and everything else. So
you concerned with leaving a legacy on purpose behind, or do you feel that whatever you're doing amongst all the companies is legacy enough and whatever's left is left?
Yeah, no, I don't really get caught up in that, honestly. Like, I'm just trying to do what I need to do to build our company, build our brands, try to win a contest. That the rest of that stuff takes care of itself. And, that's kind of another thing that I think goes back to playing sports when I was younger. I won a lot of awards and did a lot of cool stuff and all that. I don't never really got caught up on it, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I guess, you learn how to win, you learn how to lose, and you keep carrying on at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I'm sure when I look back on them, like, shit, we have done a lot of stuff, a lot of cool stuff, and been fortunate and but it's nothing that I sit there and concern myself with it on a daily basis. That's for sure. So
Tim Scheer has said it all here tonight. You've learned way more about him than maybe you thought you were going to learn. I had no idea he was a Division I basketball player. I knew he was tall. I had no idea he won 2 state championships. I did know he won Memphis in May because he came on the show and talked about it. And, of course, he is a 2023 Barbecue Central Show's guest Hall of Famer. Tim, look, congratulations on all the success. I appreciate the fact that you have showed up here on this show over many years. So you go back through and, you've been showing up, right along during the live shows, which I certainly appreciate, giving great interviews. And between Shake and Bake and Gateway Drum and Blues Hog and Marble Ridge, you're certainly an inspiration to a lot of folks out there in the industry because you have your hands in a lot of different portions of the live fire industry. So continued success. I appreciate the extended time here tonight and look forward to doing it again sooner than later.
Yeah, that sounds good. And thank you for having me on so many times. Always appreciate what you do and promoting barbecue and all that. And we're going to have that embryo talk.
Yes.
And
2024
and all that stuff at a later date, I guess, because that's a whole another piece, right?
Oh, yeah. All right. We'll do that next year. Thanks, Tim.
All right, buddy.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Sorry. Tim Scheer right there doing the origin story, which I certainly appreciate. And wow, what a hog farm, college basketball, landscape, Gateway Drum Builder. Let's buy Blues Hog from Bill Arnold, the icon. He wants me to take it over. Now we got high-end beef and pork. Wow. Total inspiration, no doubt about it. And we thank Tim for giving us an extended period of time here this evening. We're 10 minutes past the hour. Just in yesterday in the mail, December's box from JRE Tobacco. Is it the Corojo Reserva line? Yes. Is it the Figurado? Yes. What does that mean? Well, unless I'm mistaken, and I don't believe I am, this one is what they call a box press. And at the tip, it's like torpedoed at the tip where you're going to smoke out of. And then the foot is normal, except instead of being in the round, this is box pressed. So a little bit square. I'm going to have to double check that, but I do believe it's box pressed. So now only a box of 10 because of how they're made, instead of 20 like the usual rounds. So the offer stands. If you want one, I'll send one. I'm not sending a pair out like I do with the rounds. But if you want one, and it's a 6 inch by 50 ring gauge, I believe. So, right in my wheelhouse as far as ring gauge and length. So if you got the time, I would allot hour and 15 to an hour and a half, depending on how quick you smoke it. So if you're interested, hit me up and I'll send one out like we've been doing here for the last couple months. Also, I have some Aladino Classics left over, so if you want to try one of those, just let me know. What do we know? I love the Reserva line, yes, but JRE Tobacco out of Honduras is making, in my opinion, some of the best cigars out there, premium hand-rolled cigars. Forget about that nonsense that you're hearing about Cuban cigars this, Cuban cigars that. Cuba's in trouble, pal. In Cuba, you want to come after me? Let's go. Your labor force is dying, literally and figuratively. You pay your laborers nothing, and your cigars are average at best. I don't care what they're telling you. I know what's going on down there. And by the way, you look at the aesthetics between an Aladino and any Cuban, forget about it. With Aladino or JRE Tobacco, you're getting the essence of Cuba, except it's sexy and it tastes better. And way less expensive on the market. Are you kidding me? Find a dealer near you, jretobacco.com, or if you want a sample, let me know. Send me an email, greg@thebbqcentralshow.com, and I'll get you either a Figurado or a Toro. Not a Toro. Robusto. I got Robusto in Reserva line too. Or the Aladino Classic. You tell me. greg@thebbqcentralshow.com for a sample. jretobacco.com to find a dealer or retailer near you. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Tim Scheer for the extended time over the last hour, coming in and doing an origin story. Gateway Drum Smokers, Blues Hog, Shake and Bake Barbecue, Marble Ridge. Go ahead, check them all out. Become a customer, become a fan, become a follower, do all that stuff. Also available on all the social media platforms in those respective environments. All right, so let's go ahead and get on out all the way back in the first hour. Okay. Come on. Remove those. Yes, there we go. All the way back in the first hour, it was Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. We played a game. Meathead, I'm going to do the games from now on. All right? You leave the games to me. After Meathead, Robert Moss, robertfmoss.com. Second hour, all Tim Scheer, all the time. Worked through a little microphone mishap. I think we come to find out it wasn't plugged in. Usually I'm not the one that has to do it, but once we start really working back into it, we got to start with the basics. Is it plugged in? Was it? No. We fixed that. We fixed it. Good news for the podcasters. You're only hearing about it now because I went in and I cut all of that out. You're welcome. This is extra funny because I was a guest, or I am a guest, on the most recent Grab 'em in the Brisket episode, available for download anywhere on all podcast platforms. Grab 'em in the Brisket, and we talked about how I will actively go in to a live show after the fact and edit out stuff for the listeners that they don't need to listen to. Me getting Tim through the microphone part, they don't need to listen to. They're hearing about it now, but they didn't go through that up front. I'm going to go through at the end of the show right now and edit all that out. That's all you're just hearing about. You didn't get to experience it. You're welcome. Big show playing for you next week. It's the third Tuesday of the month already, if you can believe it. We got quarterly guests coming up. We got Wes Wright coming up. Already! Come on. Christmas is almost here. I hope you're ready. Until, how do I always leave? September 11, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hi, this is Austin Parsons, Pitmaster with Smoky Mountain Q in Nashville, Tennessee, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.